I just don't see the benefit from
I don't know if it's going to add value to my life.
I don't think it's going to take off like they think it's going to take off either.
So I've been hearing about Atmos. Watch the video. It's just some form of mixing that is about to be a standard, industry standard. And one thing I didn't know is that it's become a requirement for playlists on, I believe the young man says, Spotify and Apple Music.
Just Apple Music right now.
Just Apple Music right now, where you have to have this mixing or whatever prior to getting listed on a playlist. And also he talked about the rig that he'd have to get set up for himself. Right. Now I'm not that well versed on it. I watched some of the video, but it sounds like this thing is going to be a big deal. And the way the young man in the video was talking about it, it's not in the infant stages. It's starting to rapidly increase. Yeah. Right. Like what's your take on it? Because I know you posted this, but had you done a lot of research on it before watching the video? Or
a little bit. I've been paying attention to this space a little bit. Shouts to 𝐀𝐿2. Shouts to Malcolm. He's got me hip to it. He actually shared this video and I went and checked it out. And the reason why I shared it and why it might be something for us to talk about is because it's apparently Apple Music is requiring all future playlisting. You have to have an Atmos mix. Otherwise, they won't playlist your song.
February 1st, it came out that you will no longer get playlisted on Apple Music unless you submit your music in Atmos. Now, this is a huge deal for independent artists.
Which is kind of paywalling it to a degree, if you think about it. And so that's the angle that I was thinking about. But what it is essentially is it's just, think of surround sound, but just on steroids. So speakers here, left, right, reverse, subs over here. So it's giving you a fully immersive sound. So like when you listen to music, it's like you get a fully immersive way of listening to music, essentially. And so it's supposed to be really cool, supposed to be really good. I don't know if it's really going to blow up like everybody says that it is. I'm curious about that. You know, we could make the same argument like surround sound didn't really blow up like we thought it was going to.
Because it's still expensive.
Exactly. And to your point about the guy saying he has to buy new rigs, to buy a rig to mix in Atmos is expensive.
That was going to be my question because he talked about how this affects...
We're talking 5 figures.
He was saying how this affects the independent artists as well because... Yes. You know, if you get lucky and try to get playlisted, if you don't have said equipment, you know,
or you got to pay for an engineer that is doing
to mix it in that.
Right. Is 𝐀𝐿2 studio at Atmos? Studio.
He said that he's got an Atmos studio. I've been over there once, but not since he's had it. He's like updated it.
This is new to me. Like I was asleep on this whole concept.
Well, again, the thing that stands out to me is like the fact that it is essentially paywalling. You know, like artists already have it hard enough, and Spotify's even recently launched like their discovery program that we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
You know, this is just another way to. It's another way to. Yes, it's pushing technology, right? And I'm guessing Apple has a certain amount invested into it, but it's a paywall, and seems early.
So let me ask you this. As an independent artist and someone that's a creative or someone that's trying to be progressive, do you think at this point, based on what you know, it's a smart investment to go ahead and try to put your pennies together to get a rig for this? As a producer yourself?
No, as a producer, no. Okay. I don't think so. I think this is mixing.
Okay, so this is something where I can still mix my records as such and send them to Atmos engineers or whatever and have them. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's what it is. No, I've got no interest in like getting an Atmos set up. I don't even like mixing and mastering as it is. So this is...
You're good at it though.
The interesting thing is the only thing that interests me about it is because I do like scoring related stuff, right? And so I've been thinking about buying like the premium version of like the DaVinci suite, that's got all of the Fairlight technology built into it. For that, it's interesting to me. But as far as mixing records,
right?
I'm not sold on the experience being worth the cost.
Okay.
Like if I put on a set of headphones, am I really going to experience Atmos like that?
No. Right.
Because you remember
all your equipment probably has to match what this is doing. So you got to have Atmos
Earbuds.
headphones, earbuds, speaker system, surround sound.
Yep.
It's just like when the Beats by Dre joints came out.
Beats by Dre were never that.
I used to try to.
They were just loud and had a lot of bass.
I made the mistake because I copped and I was on the wave and I'm like, yeah, man, I'm about to get some Beats by Dre just to
bass
make
heavy.
extremely bass.
The Pioneer over the heads was a lot better than the Beats by Dre's, in my personal opinion.
But I knew homies that produced or creatives that copped because they were Beats by Dre. Like people just walked around obviously just to have Beats by Dre.
Bose was always a standard for me. If something sounded like Bose, then it was hitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bose was the high end. But even though Bose wasn't high end when it comes to studio related equipment.
Right.
But I've heard one of my best friends has one of those the bars, like the Bose
sound bar.
Sounds amazing.
No, for sure.
Right? Like it sounds
it throws sound too. So like this one speaker in front of you, you can hear stuff behind you.
Yeah.
And that's similar to what the Atmos stuff is doing. Like except imagine listening to a Prince record and you hear that. So I think, I feel like there is it's
probably an experience.
It's probably an experience.
Sound like we need to do a field trip, huh? Check this out.
But my whole thing is this. What if this really doesn't catch on?
Like surround sound.
That's fair.
I mean, look, and some of y'all, you got to realize, even if you had the money to buy one of these rigs, I listen to professional, and this is something I've picked up from Lone. I listen to sometimes professional artists who are, on major labels, and their records are barely mixed correctly in stereo, much less, this new Atmos standard. And also it's like, okay, are they going to, for you to be, do you have to be a mixer and somebody who does this? Do you have to be certified in Atmos engineering?
That's a good question.
I think what they are doing is, like you said, putting up paywalls and just because now everybody with GarageBand and who can get Pro Tools can essentially put out what is considered now to be a professional recording.
Yep.
And maybe this, you never know. If you start peeling the layers back, and I'm a conspiracy dude on this could be a whole thing by the record companies. So they stop people from, sneaking through the cracks and not paying the fees. And all of a sudden they have a song like that blows up and winds up being bigger than anything that they've paid for. Like, I guarantee you, nobody in the record industry was happy for 𝐷𝐿𝐴𝐿𝐴's that song, Let's Go, FNF. Nobody.
Llama.
Llama, red pajama, read the story with mama.
Yeah, they didn't want that to work because here is a song that you had to play on the radio that got all this play in the clubs that nobody paid for.
Yeah.
It was just such an organic hit that you couldn't act like you didn't hear it or see it. And if you have this new standard for getting on the playlist that not only has a financial barrier, but a technical proficiency barrier, you're going to keep songs like that off of playlists and try to do the best you can to keep them out of people's consciousness. So the people on these major labels the promotion staff has spent $150,000 to try to make hits and get into the consciousness of these program directors and these music directors. I'm looking at it from that level where you're trying to create barriers to keep people who can make a song independently out of the space of the places where major labels have spent the money. Because like I said, I think we've all seen like Wendy Day when she speaks on how much it is.
Shouts to their podcast. It's really good.
To get a song on the radio and to get things really moving, especially for a new artist. When 𝐷𝐿𝐴𝐿𝐴 and Hit Kid recorded a song and then 30 minutes later recorded a video, and all of a sudden that's the biggest song of the summer. No, we got to stop that.
I don't think it's really going to put a damper on any of that though, because just because Apple is saying to get on our playlist, I can make my own playlist featuring the artists that I want to be on here, and it's still on there. It's just not one of the essential playlists on Apple. Me personally, I don't even have Apple Music, so I don't listen to any of those playlists anyway.
I don't either.
So Spotify, the news that came with that in the video was that Spotify is building their Atmos studio, probably to follow suit in the near future. And so that becomes the question: is like, what level of paywalling are we actually looking at? Yeah. Does it really matter? Sure, there's going to be.
But you also have to think of all the equipment that everybody clear around with everything music has to do. So it's almost like they're saying we're the only people you can come to that have your music sounding like this.
Right.
But there's a lot more people I can go to. So I just don't go to you.
What do you mean though?
Because I mean, if you have this Atmos mix or whatever,
right?
In order for us to hear it how it's supposed to be heard, you're supposed to have a good sound system, right?
I guess.
I mean, because I'm pretty sure that if I'm just putting some regular earbuds in, I'm not hearing it the same way.
I'm guessing if they're just stereo,
right? So I mean, you have to be banking on everybody going out, dropping bank on all of this stuff.
I think
that's
in
cool.
order
That's
to
more
hear it
to.
right.
So I think that's part of what I was saying.
To your point.
Apple's infrastructure, right? So
Right.
if you think about it from an Apple angle, it's phones, it's Apple earbuds. It makes sense. Like if you buy an Apple phone, then you can listen to the Atmos experience. So it's from a commercial standpoint, it's really pushing people to buy more Apple stuff. In the same,
I'm still cool.
I mean, I am too.
But I could see this being, to Lone's point, I could see people getting attached to it because it's
people are
Apple,
already attached
right?
to Apple anyway.
That's what I'm saying. So that actually makes it,
now you have to buy
from a marketing standpoint, that makes it.
Now you have to buy these Apple things, and then to Jay's point, who knows how much of that is behind it as well,
Right?
You know, like I didn't think about.
Is it about the mix, or is this a marketing?
Yeah, I don't.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like, yeah, we want to push out this technology. We want it to be a great experience for our users. That's
this is almost like a laser disc.
It's not they're not, I don't think they care about our experience. They care about a way to keep certain
and be first.
Song, to make sure that the people involved, because a lot of these, look, Spotify has investment from these major labels. Okay.
Facts.
And when you start, like I said, peeling the layers away, you understand, like, it's not about our experience. It's about maintaining their profit margins and creating certain barriers. So like the people who are taking 80 and giving out 20, they only want so much. They only want the people who are the artists who are somehow figure out a way to get 80, and or 20 goes to the major label system or any of these systems. You know, they want to keep as many of those people out as possible. And with embracing this technology that like, honestly, I have a Tidal that has Atmos. Maybe it's because I'm using it through my phone, and I'm using it through some headphones that I got off of Amazon, you know, for $20 or $30. I can't tell the difference. It's nothing. The experience is not special to me. I saw there's an app on my Xbox to where you can have, like, there's an Atmos app, but I'm like, I don't see the point in playing, you know, this through my Xbox when I'm playing through this flat screen TV that's like 8 or 9 years old, and I don't have a sound bar or a surround sound system.
And the crazy thing is like, we still, like, as people that mix anyways, we try to mix in the worst possible. Like, the approach is always like, cool, when I check my mixes, I check on a phone, I check in my car, I check on these horrible speakers over here, I check on these ones, even though I mix in good speakers.
Right.
And so it's like,
so the car test.
Who cares what it sounds like on a $10,000
exactly.
rig? Most people don't have that.
Yeah. That's how it's going to be consumed. Like, that's how it's 9 times out of 10. That's how it's going to be consumed.
And even though the technology is there, like, to your point, like, most of the records I hear now they sound like they're mixed for a phone. Like, most of the mixes aren't even very good, in my opinion.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
I'm not sold on it, man, because I mean, the two apps that you're talking about to use it, I don't subscribe to either one of them.
Well, he said Tidal. I didn't even know Tidal has.
I didn't know either.
Well, Tidal has an option, so you can have the regular option and
the hi-fi lossless.
Option.
But, you know, I don't, you know, after because I used to get it through my phone carrier, and now they've switched over. Like I said, they're not paying us. And once they switched over, and I just subscribed directly to Tidal, like, it changed it, and I was like, well, whatever I lost, I don't care. I can still listen to the majority of my library, and I can't tell the difference a lot of times anyway, because I'm not listening to it in $10,000 speakers.
No, I'm not an audiophile like that to the point where I would even care. It's kind of the same thing as when you talk about something that's 320 versus 120. In certain settings, you can tell it, but in certain settings, you can't.
But I can't. A lot of times, I can't tell the difference between 320 and 192.
Yeah,
Yeah, but there is a
Wave
difference.
versus MP3 is different. In my opinion.
Because it's
lossless versus
Yeah.
But even still, 320 and Wave, you have to have a specific type of ear to really hear it.
Yeah.
But I would say 320 to 190, what is it, 192?
192.
And lower, I can tell the difference between those two. And 128, I can always tell the difference.
Yeah,
But
I can tell when people are playing,
especially in
100
big systems.
Yeah,
Like,
and we're talking about like
you're not supposed to DJ with a YouTube song.
kilobytes per second.
Unless you
Like
have
that's
to.
how they measure the quality of, all those MP3s that you downloaded off of LimeWire back in the day. Like I can tell when you're playing those out.
Them mugs is 90s.
Yeah. So I've seen people try to get away with playing 96 kilobyte per second. Come on now, but. I think the minimum you should be playing if you are playing out in the club is 192. And that's
you
really
can
kind of
EQ
pushing
your
it.
mixer to make it sound better if you know what you're doing.
But if you're playing those 128 kilobyte songs that you stole off of LimeWire, I'm definitely going to know.
Yeah.
I mean,
First of all, I can hear the DJ drops in them.
Yeah,
So you really
that
need
too.
to stop that.
That too.
at the end of the day, this sounds like a exclusive members only type push.
And I don't want a membership.
You know what I'm saying?
I
It's
do
like-
want to experience it though. I don't mind going somewhere, sitting and actually experiencing this sound, but I'm not invested to the point where I'm about to go out and buy equipment and earphones and earbuds and
Not
stuff
for the
just
music.
to experience
Not
it.
for the
Nah.
music.
Not for the music.
I'm not sold on the music portion. I feel like maybe from an experience of like watching like an immersive thing. Like if I'm watching, I don't know,
Glory.
Yeah, button up that collar.
let's say I'm watching Glory, right? Like that might be cool because then you can literally experience stuff around you. You're seeing something right here, right?
Right.
And then this is your point of view. So yes, it would be maybe cool to experience what's going on around the
Especially
camera.
in a fight scene with gun
Or something,
shots and, all that type
and
of
maybe
stuff,
it's
yeah.
filmed in that way too.
Right.
Yeah, that might be cool. But music, again, I'm not super sold on it. But again, I haven't experienced it, so maybe.
I mean, I think I lean more towards what Terry's talking about. On Terry's stance, I would like to experience it, but I just don't see the benefit from
I don't know if it's going to add value to my life.
I don't
That's
think
what
it's
I'm
going to
talking
take
about.
off
That's
like
what I'm
they
talking
think
about.
it's going to take off either.
No, I just really think, with it being associated with Apple and Apple being as popular as it is, it's just we
dope.
have this, everybody else doesn't. Y'all come on over.
They can have that
and
mind state. I'm
we
still
got
be where I'm at.
everything that we have is geared and set up for it, and you guys will be different from everybody
I
else.
mean,
Like,
and
that's
you
what
can
it
get
strikes
Apple
me as.
Music on an Android or whatever anyway.
True.
It's not only for Apple. So I can get I actually had Apple Music for a while on my phone.
I didn't know you could.
Yeah, you can get it on anything.
I didn't know that actually.
Yeah.
I'm Team Droid, so I had no idea. Yeah.
You can put it on anything you want.